The night sky lit up with strange colors as the alien ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was not a large vessel compared to others in the galactic fleet, but to human eyes it would have seemed enormous, the sleek purple metal exterior reflecting the moonlight as it descended silently toward the small town of Pinewood. Inside, the ship commander Lyra monitored the landing sequence, her tall, slender form towering over the control panels at 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. She was unmistakably not human, but she found humans fascinating, especially their resilience and creativity. This was supposed to be just another routine observation mission. The Orion Collective had been studying Earth for decades, watching as humans developed their technology at an impressive rate. Compared to other species, the Collective never interfered. They simply observed and reported. Lyra had other ideas, though, ever since she had intercepted human broadcasts and learned their languages. She had become increasingly drawn to their culture, their music, their stories, the way they loved and fought and survived. Despite their fragile bodies and short lives, the mission parameters are clear. Observer only her second. In command, Vela reminded her Velas green skin contrasting with the blue glow of the ship's interior. "We are not to make contact under any circumstances," Lyra nodded absently. Her attention focused on the small town below them. According to their intel, a human named Amy Porter lived there, a scientist working on experimental technology that had accidentally picked up signals from their communication buoys in deep space. The human didn't know what she had discovered, but the Collective was concerned. "Will observe only," Lyra confirmed, though there was something in her voice that made Vela suspicious. "We need to understand how she detected our tech and ensure she doesn't alert others to our presence." The ship landed in a clearing in the forest outside, its cloaking technology making it invisible to human detection systems. Lyra prepared the surveillance drone's small insect-like devices that could monitor the human without detection. For 3 days they watched Amy Porter. She lived alone in a small house at the edge of town surrounded by equipment she had built herself. Lyra was impressed by the humans' ingenuity creating complex devices with such primitive materials. Each night Amy would sit on her roof with modified radio equipment. "Scanning the sky, she's looking for us," Vela said on the 3rd night. "The human knows something is out there, Lee." Ra watched the monitors, her fascination growing. This human female was special. She had figured out patterns in the background radiation that even some members of the Collective had missed. How was this possible? From a species that had barely left their own planet. "I need to get closer," Lyra decided. "Tonight I will use the biomimetic suit and observe directly." Vela protested strongly, but Lyra was commander and her decision was final. The biomimetic technology would alter her appearance, making her look human. Though she would still tower over most of them, she would say she was from a place called Sweden, where humans were taller. That should work, under cover of darkness. Lyra approached Amy's house wearing the biomimetic disguise. She appeared as a tall blonde woman in simple clothes. The transformation was uncomfortable, her natural blue skin feeling constricted beneath the artificial layer, but it would hold for a few hours. She hadn't planned on making contact, but fate intervened as she neared the house. A security light flashed on, and Amy Porter stepped outside, holding something in her hands. "Who are you, and why are you sneaking around my property?" Amy called out, her voice firm despite facing a stranger in the darkly. Ra froze momentarily, her training failing her. "I was just walking," she said lamely. "I saw your equipment and was curious. I am also a scientist." Amy didn't lower the object in her hands, which Lyra now recognized as a primitive defense weapon. "A pepper spray. My nearest neighbor is 3 miles away. Nobody just walks here at nightly." Ra knew she should retreat, but something about this human drew her forward. "I apologize for alarming you. My name is Lyra. I am visiting from Sweden. I saw your antenna array and recognized a harmonic oscillator pattern similar to one I have been working on." Amy studied her suspiciously, but curiosity flickered across her face. "Scientists rarely came to Pinewood, especially foreign ones. You know about harmonic oscillators?" Lyra nodded and took a careful step forward. "I specialize in deep space communications," she said, which was technically true. The human hesitated, then lowered the spray slightly. "You picked a strange time for a visit. Sometimes the night provides clearer signals," Lyra offered. glancing up at the stars where her ship orbited invisibly. Something in that gesture seemed to resonate with Amy. Her posture relaxing slightly. "Would you like to see my setup?" she asked. "I don't get many visitors who understand my work." Knew she should decline return to the ship and observe from a distance, but the opportunity to learn directly from this remarkable human was too tempting. "I would be honored," she replied, following Amy inside, unaware that this simple decision would change the course of two civilizations forever. Vela watched through the drone feeds with growing alarm as her commander entered the human dwelling. This violated every protocol of the collective, but she could only observe and wait, ready to initiate emergency extraction if needed, though she had to admit there was something special about this human who had accomplished so much with so little. Inside Amy's house, Lyra was amazed by the makeshift laboratory the human had created. Equipment cobbled together, from consumer electronics, modified household appliances, and custom-built circuit boards, covered every surface. The walls were plastered with star charts, mathematical equations, and radio frequency diagrams, many showing patterns Lyra recognized from collective communications. "This is all your work?" Lyra asked, running her disguised fingers over a particularly complex device. Amy nodded, pride evident in her expression. "I've been building this setup for 7 years, ever since I picked up the first anomalous signal." She pointed to a framed printout on the wall. "That first pattern changed everything." Lyra's hearts raced beneath her biomimetic suit. That was no ordinary signal. It was a collective beacon, one that should have been undetectable to human technology. Yet somehow this human had not only detected it, but recognized its significance. "What do you think these signals mean?" Amy asked, watching Lyra closely for a moment. Lyra considered her options. The collective protocols were clear. No revelation of alien existence to pre-contact civilizations, but looking at this human who had accomplished so much alone without support or advanced technology, she felt a strange connection. "I think," Lyra began carefully, "they suggest we are not alone in the universe." I smiled. "That's what I think too." She moved to a computer and pulled up a series of recordings. "See these patterns? They repeat, but with variations like a language." Lyra felt a chill run through her disguised body. This human had partially decoded collective transmissions, something their analysts had believed impossible for Earth technology. Amy continued excitedly. "The scientific community thinks I'm crazy. They say it's just random cosmic noise, but I know it's not random." Her eyes shone with determination. "There's intelligence behind these signals, I'm sure of it." Hours passed as Amy showed Lyra her discoveries. The alien commander, carefully hiding her shock at how much this single human had uncovered. Working alone with primitive tools, the collective had severely underestimated human potential. Outside the house, Vela monitored with growing concern. "Commander, we are approaching the biomimetic suit's duration limit," she transmitted through Lyra's neural implant. "You must return soonly." Received the warning but found herself reluctant to leave. She had learned more about human ingenuity in these few hours than collective observers had documented in decades. "I should go," Lyra finally said. "It's getting late." Amy looked disappointed. "We barely scratched the surface." She hesitated, then asked, "Will you come back tomorrow? There's so much more I want to show you." Lyra knew she should refuse. Every moment spent with this human increased the risk of discovery. Yet the opportunity to learn more was too valuable for the mission. "Of course," she replied. "I'll return tomorrow evening." Back aboard the ship, Vela confronted her commander. "You took an unnecessary risk," she said, as Lyra removed the biomimetic suit, revealing her blue skin. "The council would not approve of direct contact." Lyra stretched her limbs, relieved to be back in her natural form. "This human has discovered more about our communication systems than should be possible with their technology. She deserves study." Vela frowned. "Our mission is observation only, not interaction." Lyra turned to her second-in-command. "Listen to these." She played the recordings Amy had shown her, the patterns clearly visible even to an untrained eye. This human, working alone with salvaged equipment, has partially decoded collective transmissions that should be impossible. Vela studied the patterns, her expression changing from skepticism to shock. "How is this possible?" "That's what I intend to find out," Lyra said. "I believe this human, Amy Porter, represents an evolutionary leap in their species. Her cognitive patterns, Her intuitive understanding of complex systems, she's extraordinary. The next evening, Lyra returned to Amy's house. The human welcomed her enthusiastically, eager to continue their discussion about the mysterious signals, unaware that she was speaking with the very alien life she sought to contact. Over the following week, Lyra visited Amy every night, learning about human resilience, creativity, and determination. Through this remarkable example of their species, she discovered that humans possessed something the collective had lost over millennia of technological advancement: raw curiosity and the drive to explore despite limitations. Amy showed Lyra her latest project, a transmitter designed to send a response to the signals she had detected. I believe whoever sent these would recognize a pattern based on prime numbers as artificial and therefore intelligent. She explained it's nearly completely. Ra felt conflicted. The collective would consider this development dangerous. A direct response from Earth would force them to make difficult decisions about human readiness for contact. Yet she couldn't help admiring the human's brilliance in the seventh night as Amy worked on final adjustments to her transmitter. A warning flashed through Lyra's neural implant commander. "We have detected an approaching craft." Vela transmitted, "It's not one of ours." Lyra tensed immediately. Understanding the implications, the Greys had arrived, another alien faction that considered Earth their territory. They fiercely protected their claim, often destroying evidence of human advancement that might lead to broader galactic contact. "We need to evacuate immediately," Vela urged. "The Grey ship's weapons are charging." Ra looked at Amy, still working excitedly on her transmitter, unaware of the danger descending from above. The collective had strict non-interference protocols, but the Greys had no such restrictions. They would eliminate Amy and all her work without hesitation. "I can't leave her," Lyra decided, breaking every rule she had sworn to uphold. "Amy, we need to go." Naomi looked up, confused. "What do you mean? There's no time to explain," Lyra said, grabbing the human's arm. "Your life is in danger. We must leave immediately." The human pulled away, not understanding. "Who are you really? What's going on?" In that moment, Lyra made a decision that would change two worlds forever. Her biomimetic disguise melted away, revealing her true form, her blue skin, luminescent eyes, and towering height. Amy gasped, stumbling backward, her eyes wide with shock and wonder. You can't. Be exactly what you've been looking for," Lyra said, extending her hand, "and right now we both need to run." Amy stood frozen, her mind struggling to process what her eyes were seeing. A real alien stood before her, tall, blue-skinned, with large, expressive eyes. Everything she had theorized, everything she had hoped for, confirmed in an instant. But there was no time to marvel. The house shook as something massive passed overhead, a deafening hum penetrating the walls, dust falling from the ceiling. "We need to leave now," Lyra insisted, reaching again for Amy's arm. "Others are coming who will destroy everything you've built, and you with it." Something in Lyra's urgent tone broke through Amy's shock. "My research," she said, looking at her life work. "There's no time." Lyra pulled her toward the door. "Bring only what you absolutely cannot leave behind." Amy grabbed her laptop and a small device that looked like a modified smartphone. 30 seconds, that was all she needed to collect 7 years of work, compressed into portable drives. Outside, the night sky glowed with an eerie green light as a disc-shaped craft descended toward the house, far different from Lyra's sleek vessel, its surface covered with strange angular patterns. "The Greys," Lyra explained, pulling Amy toward the forest. "They consider Earth their territory. They destroy any human who comes close to discovering galactic civilization." Amy ran alongside the alien, her mind racing with questions. "Is that why nobody believes in aliens? Because evidence gets destroyed?" "Precisely," Lyra confirmed. "Most advanced humans who make genuine contact disappear. My people observe. Yours, but we don't interfere." The Greys take a more aggressive approach. A beam of light shot from the Grey ship, scorching the ground where they had stood seconds before. Amy felt the heat on her back as they dove into the forest underbrush. Lyra activated her neural implant. "Vela, emergency extraction, 2 life forms. My coordinates now." I watched in amazement as Lyra's skin seemed to glow from within. They reached a small clearing, and Lyra stopped, looking upward. "Where are they?" she muttered. "Who asked?" Amy, still trying to comprehend the situation. "My ship, my crew, they should be right above us." A second beam sliced through the trees nearby, forcing them to run again. Amy could see genuine fear on the alien's face. Something about that was strangely reassuring. This advanced being from beyond the stars could feel fear just like humans. They broke through the trees onto the shore of a small lake, nowhere left to run. The gray ship hovered above the forest, its searchlight sweeping the area. Lyra grabbed Amy's shoulders. "Listen to me," she said intently. "Your species has extraordinary potential. You see patterns others miss. You build with whatever you have. You never stop trying. That's why they fear you." Before Amy could respond, the lake water began to churn and rise as if something massive was emerging from below. A sleek purple vessel rose from the depths, water cascading off its metallic surface. The extraction hatch opened at the bottom of the craft, a beam of blue light extending to the ground. "That's your ship?" Amy asked in wonder. It was hiding underwater. "Adaptive camouflage," Lyra explained. "The Greys were jamming our systems. We couldn't use the cloaking technology." They ran toward the blue light as the gray ship fired again, beam hitting the water, creating a massive cloud of steam. The purple ship responded with a pulse that momentarily disabled the gray vessel, once inside the hatch sealed behind them. Amy found herself surrounded by tall aliens similar to Lyra, their skin ranging from blue to green. Their expressions a mixture of shock and curiosity at seeing a human aboard their vessel commander. The green-skinned alien, whom Amy would later learn was Vala, approached. "The collective will not approve of this." The Greys attacked directly. Lyra replied, "We had no choice." Amy stood in the alien ship trying to comprehend the enormity of what was happening. She had dreamed of this moment for years, wondered what she would say if she ever made contact. Now surrounded by actual extraterrestrials, all she could manage was hide spite. The tension. Several of the aliens made chirping sounds that Amy realized was laughter. Vala did not share their amusement. "This human cannot stay with us. She must be returned." The ship shuddered as it absorbed another hit from the gray vessel. "Evasive maneuvers," Lyra ordered. "Prepare for atmospheric departure." Amy gripped a nearby rail as the ship accelerated upward, the force nearly buckling her knees. A view screen showed the gray ship in pursuit. "We need the dimensional drive," Vala urged. "Not with a human aboard," Lyra countered. "The physiological stress would kill." Haremy realized they were holding back their technology to protect her. "Don't let me stop you," she said. "Whatever you need to do, him readily." Ra studied her for a moment, then nodded to Vala. "Prepare the drive, shield the human as much as possible." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, securing equipment and taking positions. Vala guided Amy to a compartment in the wall, something like a padded closet with a harness. "This will offer some protection," she explained, though her tone suggested limited confidence. "What will happen?" Amy asked as the harness secured automatically around her body. "The drive shifts us partially out of normal space," Vala said. "It allows us to move without the limitations of your physics. But organic beings, especially new species, sometimes react badly." The ship rocked violently as another blast from the Greys hit them. "Dimensional drive activating," a voice announced. "Countdown initiated." Me felt a strange tingling throughout her body, the air around her seeming to thicken and shimmer. She had 1,000 questions, but no time to ask them. "Good luck," Human Vala said before the compartment sealed. What followed was unlike anything Amy had experienced. The compartment filled with a gelatinous substance that supported her body. While allowing her to breathe, somehow time seemed to stretch and compress simultaneously. Colors that had no names in human language flashed at the edges of her vision, her mind expanding to comprehend concepts that had previously been beyond her understanding. When the compartment finally opened, Amy stumbled out, surprised to find she could stand. The alien crew watched her with evident surprise. "Remarkable," Vala said, approaching with a device that scanned Amy from head to toe. She survived with minimal cellular disruption. Most species vomit at minimum. Amy steadied herself against the wall. "Where are we?" Lyra approached, gestures from her long fingers bringing up a holographic display of stars around them. "Earth, now a small blue dot among countless others. We are beyond your solar system, beyond the reach of the Greys." "What happens now?" Amy asked, suddenly realizing the enormity of her situation. She was possibly the first human to leave the solar system aboard an alien vessel with no way to return home on her own. Lyra faced her crew, then turned to Amy. The collective has strict protocols about interference. With developing worlds by bringing you aboard have violated our most sacred directives. What does that mean? Amy asked. It means, Lyra replied, that neither of us can go back to the life we knew before. The Greys will be watching your home, and the collective will demand answers from me. We are both effectively exiles now. In the days that followed, Amy experienced wonders beyond human imagination. The ship traveled through regions of space where physics seemed to operate differently, stars in impossible colors, nebulae that sang with electromagnetic frequencies. The crew monitored her health, constantly surprised by her adaptability. Ra showed Amy the ship systems, explaining concepts that stretched her scientific understanding to its limits. The vessel operated on principles that made Earth technology seem like stone tools in comparison. Yet Amy grasped the fundamentals quickly, often seeing connections that surprised even the alien scientists. The human brain is remarkably flexible. The ship's medical officer Nova commented after one of Amy's examinations. She adapts neural pathways to new information faster than any species have studied. Humans evolved to survive changing conditions. Amy explained we had to be adaptable since we couldn't rely on natural weapons or physical strength. Fascinating, Nova replied, her purple skin shimmering under the medical bay's lights. The collective has misunderstood your species. I think focusing too much on your technological limitations and not enough on your cognitive potential. Amy spent hours in the ship's library absorbing information about galactic civilizations, the collective which governed thousands of worlds, the Greys who claimed Earth as an experimental preserve, and dozens of other species, each with their own biology, culture, and history. Days turned to weeks. She became less a curiosity and more part of the crew, her perspective often providing insights the aliens had overlooked. She learned their language, understood their technology, and shared human knowledge in return. Lyra, meanwhile, faced the consequences of her actions. The Collective Council demanded explanations for the violation of non-interference protocols and the exposure of a pre-contact species to advanced technology. In her private quarters, Lyra showed Amy the transmission from the Council, their elongated faces stern as they listed her violations. You are hereby ordered to report to Central Command for evaluation and judgment. The lead counselor stated the human specimen must be surrendered for memory adjustment. Before repatriation, Lyra ended the transmission, her expression troubled. They want to wipe your memory of everything you've seen and return you to Earth. Amy felt a chill run through her body after experiencing the wonders of the universe. She couldn't bear the thought of forgetting it all, returning to a life where no one believed her theories. I can't go back to not knowing, she said. Not after all this. I anticipated your response, Lyra replied, which is why I haven't told the Council our current location. You would defy them for me? Amy asked surprisedly, removed to the viewport, her tall form silhouetted against the stars outside. Not just for you, for what you represent. Your species has enormous potential that the collective refuses to acknowledge because of outdated protocols. But where can we go? Amy wondered. Both the collective and the Greys would be looking for them. Lyra turned a rare smile on her face. I have friends in the outer systems, those who believe as I do that the collective has become too rigid, too fearful of change. They will help us. The ship changed course, heading toward the galactic rim, away from the densely populated worlds of the collective, into regions where their authority was more suggestion than law. The crew remained loyal to Lyra despite the risk to their own futures. 3 months after Amy's abrupt departure from Earth, they arrived at a space station hidden within an asteroid field. Its existence unknown to collective authorities, the station Kazara was home to scientists, philosophers, and explorers who believed in cooperation between species, regardless of technological development. They were welcomed by the station's leader, Maya A, being unlike any Amy had seen before, with translucent skin that revealed a complex circulatory system flowing with luminescent fluid. We have followed your journey with great interest, Maya said as they toured the station. Many here have argued for years that humans are ready for contact, that the collective and the Greys have no right to keep your species isolated. I was introduced to beings from dozens of worlds, each with their own reason for choosing Kazara over the collective. Some were scientists pursuing research the collective deemed dangerous. Others were refugees from worlds where independent thought was discouraged. All shared a belief that galactic civilization needed new perspectives. You arrived at an interesting time, Maya told Amy and Lyra as they shared a meal in her quarters. We have been monitoring increased gray activity around Earth. They seem concerned about what Lyra asked. They believe Amy's disappearance has created complications. Maya explained several humans witnessed your escape from Pinewood. There are videos records that the Greys couldn't completely eliminate. Me felt a mixture of hope and concern. Does that mean others on Earth know about aliens now? Not officially, Maya replied, but the evidence is becoming harder to dismiss the collective, and the Greys are in disagreement about how to proceed. Over the following weeks, Amy worked with scientists at Kazara, sharing everything she knew about Earth, combining her knowledge with their advanced technology to create new ways of understanding the universe, her human perspective often providing the missing piece in problems that had stumped others for years. Lyra, meanwhile, gathered intelligence from her contacts throughout the galaxy, learning that her actions had sparked debate within the collective about the non-interference protocols, some arguing that humans had proven their readiness for contact, others fearing the chaos that might result. The situation changed dramatically when a collective scout ship arrived at Kazara, not to arrest Lyra but to deliver an urgent message. The Greys have escalated. The messenger explained they plan to eliminate the human problem permanently. What does that mean? Amy asked, dread growing inside her. The collective intercepted Grey communications. Lyra translated after reading the message. They plan to trigger a natural disaster on Earth, a supervolcano eruption that would devastate your civilization, setting you back centuries, ensuring humans remain primitive enough to control Amai's blood. Ran cold, billions would die, her entire species at risk because of fears about their potential. They can't do that, she protested. The Greys operate outside collective authority. The messenger replied, we have limited options to intervene directly without triggering interspecies conflict, but we can intervene. Maya stated, her translucent features hardening with resolve. Kazara was founded on principles of species cooperation and equality. We will not stand by while an entire civilization is threatened. Within hours, a plan formed. Ships from Kazara would travel to Earth to prevent the Grey operation, while Lyra and Amy would go directly to the Collective Council to plead Earth's case. We have one advantage, Lyra told Amy as they prepared to depart. They don't expect us to go directly to them. They think Runamy packed the data she had collected during her time among the aliens, evidence of human accomplishments, historical examples of human creativity and resilience under pressure, and her own testimony about why her species deserved the chance to join galactic civilization. Do you think it'll be enough? She asked Lyra, as their ship broke away from Kazara. Lyra considered the question, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. We have truth on our side, and something the collective has forgotten: the courage to act on our principles rather than our fears. As their ship accelerated toward the heart of collective space, Amy realized how far she had come from the isolated scientist in Pinewood now. She carried the hopes of her entire species with her, fear still fluttered in her chest. But alongside it grew a fierce determination. The Council will see us in 3 cycles, Lyra announced after sending their request. We have that long to prepare our case. Amy nodded, her mind already forming arguments, drawing on everything she had learned about the collective, their history, their values, and most importantly, their weaknesses. If the collective could create protocols to isolate developing worlds, Amy reasoned, then humans could find the flaws in those protocols and in doing so perhaps teach these ancient civilizations something they had forgotten, that sometimes the greatest discoveries come from those with the least advanced technology, but the most powerful drive to explore. The Collective Council chamber was unlike anything Amy had imagined. A vast spherical space with no apparent floor or ceiling. Representatives from hundreds of worlds hovered on gravity platforms arranged in concentric circles, their diverse forms a testament to the variety of life in the galaxy. Amy stood beside Lyra on a central platform, the focus of thousands of alien eyes. Her human form small and seemingly fragile among these advanced beings, yet she stood tall, drawing strength from the importance of her mission. Counselors, Lyra began, her voice amplified throughout the chamber. I come before you to challenge the non-interference protocols regarding Earth. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Commander Lyra, the chief counselor, responded, his elongated body draped in ceremonial garments. You stand accused of violating our most sacred directives. Yet you come not with apology, but with challenge. I do, Lyra confirmed, because the directives are wrong in this case. The counselor gestured toward Amy. This human should not be here. Its presence contaminates these proceedings. Amy stepped forward, refusing to be dismissed. I have a name, she said clearly, her voice carrying through the chamber. My name is Amy Porter, and I represent a species that deserves to be heard. Silence fell as the assembled representatives studied this unprecedented scene. A human addressing the collective council directly. The Greys, their representative, a small gray-skinned being with large black eyes, protested. Immediately, this creature cannot speak here. The human world is under our authority. By what right? Amy challenged anger. Giving her courage, she had learned enough about galactic politics to know the Greys claimed authority but had no legitimate basis. For it, you experiment on us, monitor us, interfere when it suits your purposes, all while claiming humans aren't ready for the truth. The Grey representative moved his platform backward, clearly unprepared for direct confrontation. This is irregular. The protocols, Lyra interrupted, that were established 10,000 cycles ago when humans were still developing basic agriculture. The universe has changed since then. So have humans. Amy activated the data display. She had prepared images of human achievements appeared in the center of the chamber, from the pyramids to space exploration, from artistic masterpieces to scientific breakthroughs. This is who we are. Amy said, addressing the entire council. We build, we create, we explore, we overcome limitations with ingenuity and determination. She moved through the display, showing human resilience in the face of disasters, human cooperation across different cultures, human innovation with limited resources. The council watched, some with curiosity, others with evident discomfort, as Amy continued. We may not have mastered interstellar travel or dimensional physics, but we ask questions, we seek answers. We look at the stars and wonder what's out there, and we don't stop trying to find out. Lyra stepped forward to stand beside her. Humans have accomplished more with less than any species have encountered. She stated their cognitive adaptability, their creativity, their determination. These are not qualities to be feared, but to be welcomed. A counselor from the inner ring spoke then. If they are so promising, why have the Greys worked so hard to keep them isolated? The Grey representative shifted uncomfortably. Humans are unpredictable, dangerous. They would destabilize galactic. Ordermy laughed despite the tension, the sound echoing strangely in the chamber. Is that what this is about? You're afraid of us. Not afraid, the Grey corrected, cautious. Your species moves too quickly, makes leaps without considering consequences. You would bring chaos, and perhaps that's exactly what the collective needs, Lyra suggested, looking around the chamber. How long has it been since a genuinely new perspective was welcomed here? How many cycles have you debated the same issues with the same arguments? Amy displayed her final evidence, the Grey plan to trigger the Yellowstone supervolcano. This is what fear leads to, she said quietly. The willingness to commit genocide rather than risk change. Gasps and exclamations filled the chamber, many counselors clearly unaware of the Grey plan. This cannot be verified. The Grey representative insisted, his large eyes blinking rapidly, but it was verified by the arrival of Maya, who entered the chamber with data collected by the Kazara ships. Now in orbit around Earth, we have confirmed the Grey installation at these coordinates, she announced, displaying a map of Yellowstone National Park. Our sensors detect tectonic manipulation technology already in place. The chamber erupted in debate, some counselors demanding immediate action, others insisting on further investigation. The collective operated by consensus, but rarely faced decisions requiring urgent response. In the midst of the chaos, Amy noticed something unexpected. Several of the younger council members had moved their platforms closer, listening intently to her with expressions that seemed supportive. The chief counselor finally restored order. The question before us is unprecedented. He acknowledged the non-interference. Protocols have never been challenged in this manner, nor have we faced a situation where one member species threatens another. Developing world, Amy seized the moment. This isn't just about Earth. She said it's about what kind of galactic community you want to be, one that destroys potential because of fear or one that embraces new possibilities. For hours, the council deliberated, sometimes in languages Amy couldn't understand, sometimes in tense silence. Lyra stood beside her, a steady presence as the fate of Earth hung in the balance. Finally, the chief counselor addressed them again. "We have reached a decision," he announced. "The Gray operation on Earth will be immediately dismantled, and a review of the non-interference protocols will begin." Relief flooded through Amy, but the counselor wasn't finished. However, he continued, "The damage is done. This human now possesses knowledge that cannot be contained, memories that cannot be permitted to return to Earth." Amy's heart sank. They still intended to wipe her memory after all this. "The human Amy Porter will remain with the collective," the counselor declared. "As a liaison between our civilizations, she may communicate with Earth under controlled conditions, sharing limited information to prepare humans for eventual formal contact." "Not ideal," Lyra whispered to Amy. "But better than we expected?" The Gray representative protested vehemently, but found little support, even among traditional allies. The evidence of their planned genocide had cost them considerable influence. As the council session ended, Amy found herself surrounded by curious representatives from various worlds, each eager to learn about humans directly from a member of the species, the fear giving way to fascination. Later, in private quarters provided for them, Lyra explained the full implications of the council's decision. "You can go home," she said. "Not physically, not for many cycles, but you can communicate with Earth. Begin the process of preparing your people for the truth." Amy sat by the viewport, looking at the spectacular view of the collective capital world with its impossible architecture and advanced technology. She would miss Earth terribly. The familiar sky, the natural beauty, the comfort of being among her own kind, but she thought of what she had gained: access to knowledge that would transform human understanding of the universe, the opportunity to be a bridge between worlds, the chance to ensure that when humans finally joined galactic civilization, they would do so as equals, not as subjects. "I can live with that," she said finally. "I always wanted to discover the truth about alien life. I just never expected to become the alien." Lyra smiled, a gesture she had adopted from Amy. "In that case, welcome to the collective, Ambassador Porter. I believe your journey is just beginning." In the months that followed, Amy worked with collective scientists to establish secure communication with selected humans on Earth, carefully revealing the existence of galactic civilization in measured doses to prevent cultural shock. She chose scientists, artists, philosophers, people who could help humanity prepare for a new understanding of their place in the universe. The Greys withdrew their claims on Earth, their influence diminished by the exposure of their plans. Though Amy knew they remained a potential threat to monitor, Lyra was assigned as Amy's official guide, a position that allowed them to continue working together, exploring the collective worlds and sharing their unique perspectives. One cycle after her appearance before the council, Amy stood on an observation platform watching a collective ship depart for Earth. The first official diplomatic mission, not to make full contact yet, but to establish discreet monitoring stations with Earth's knowledge and consently. Rejoined her the tall blue alien who had become her closest friend in this strange new life. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "The choice that brought you here?" Amy considered the question, remembering her small house in Pinewood, the loneliness of being the only one who believed in her theories, the frustration of having evidence no one would accept. "I miss Earth," she admitted. "I always will." But she turned to look at the stars visible through the station's transparent dome. "No, I don't regret it. Someone had to be first, the one to open the door between worlds. I just never imagined it would be." Melora placed a hand on Amy's shoulder, her alien features now familiar. "And dear, humans have a saying, I believe, about being in the right place at the right time." Amy smiled. "That's us, isn't it? The blue alien who broke the rules and the human who looked at the stars and refused to stop asking questions." Together they watched as ships from a dozen worlds moved through the busy transit lanes around the station, each filled with beings who once would have considered humans too primitive to notice. Now many of them eagerly studied Earth, culture, learned human